Today's devotional is called Faith Matters, and the scripture comes from 1 Corinthians 13:13. And so faith, hope, love abide. Faith, conviction and belief respecting man's relation to God and divine things. Hope, joyful and confident expectation of eternal salvation. Love, true affection for God and man, growing out of God's love for and in us. These three, but the greatest of these is love. I love this particular version of this verse. So often 1 Corinthians 13 is all about love, and it's referred to as the love chapter, and it is very obviously about love. But in this particular version, I like the breakdown of the three pieces and the order at which they're listed. The first being faith as conviction and belief in God, then moving on to hope, which is joyful and confident expectation of eternal salvation, eternity with Jesus. And then last, but certainly not least, love, true affection. We see how the three of these are vital and they all work together. I believe faith matters because it drives the other two, hope and love. I would argue to say that without faith, the other two are purposeless and disingenuous. Faith matters. Faith is what gives you hope in what's to come. It's what will receive eternity with Jesus Christ. You don't get to have that hope if you don't first have faith. Faith allows us true and deep love, affection for God, which then radiates as affection for each other. Love looks very different when faith is the root. This devotional shares several great and true reminders. So one of the first things is that without faith, I cannot be in community with God. Faith is the action piece of my relationship with God. I am extremely limited in relationship with God without faith. And it's even possible for me to think, is there a relationship at all truly without faith? I just don't see how it would be possible. God and I would just be mere acquaintances, and that's not what a relationship with God is to look like. The second from the book and just from the scripture, we know that it pleases God for me to have faith. Faith brings God honor and true joy. We need all three. We need to choose to have faith in God. We need to choose to have hope and believe in the hope that we're to receive. And we have to have love for God and our love and affection for others and those around us. They work in powerful combination with each other. Today's challenge is a 3-part challenge. So we'll walk you through this. So the first piece of the challenge is to complete this question. My faith is ... What do you think of? What do you reflect on about your faith? The second piece of this is consider this hypothetical. You are sharing breakfast or just a moment with God, and you ask him about your faith. How do you think he would fill in the blank to the statement about your faith? God says, my faith is blank. This is hypothetical, of course. Today is a good day to think about strengths and weaknesses of your faith and your relationship with God, and identifying, okay, here's some things in my relationship with the Lord that I have been doing that are going well, and it's a practice that I am developing. Here's an area which I'm struggling. It could be different things. Perhaps you're struggling to praise. Some of us it's easy and natural for us to pray, but not as natural to praise. And so maybe you're identifying that as an area of weakness. And I say weakness because it's a huge opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to devote time to God. And of course, an opportunity to worship him. But it could be different things. So looking at and assessing strengths and weaknesses and seeing those weaknesses as an opportunity to grow in your relationship with the Lord. And the third piece of the challenge is, what change or changes do you need to make in your faith walk with the Lord? I definitely want to make sure that you don't miss acknowledging the good or what's worked for you, or what or how God is moving in your life in X area. Make sure you do that. It's important to do that, and it's important to give God glory and praise. But also, don't forget the second piece of that, of identifying those weaknesses that are then opportunities to grow in God. I hope this devotional has been insightful, and I hope that you leave knowing that your faith matters, that your faith leads us to hope and ultimately leads us to love, which is the greatest.